वो साइमन का आपका ठीक हो गया था, ठीक है? साइमन का ठीक हो गया आपका?
हाँ मैंने भेज दिया ना सर, अपलोड भी कर दिया मैंने।
अपलोड कर दिया? यहाँ पर अपना अवार्ड लिस्ट भेज दी? अवार्ड लिस्ट
तो मैंने इसको दिया था,
इसको दिया था?
लेकिन दिया था ना, यहाँ पर इससे चेक करा तो मेरे पास से आएगा। हार्ड कॉपी मैंने दिया था, हार्ड कॉपी नहीं सॉरी, हार्ड कॉपी लेके नहीं आया, हार्ड कॉपी लेके आया, साइन करके देना पड़ेगा ना, प्रिंट आउट हो जाएगा बस।
नितिन से बात कर लेना, ठीक है?
ऐसे मैंने
आवाज दे दो करने के बाद
बट उसमें मैंने इसलिए हार्ड नहीं लिया था, मुझे पता नहीं कहाँ से लेना है,
मतलब
कौन से स्टेशन का लेना है। चलो मैं आज ही करता हूँ उसको।
गुड मॉर्निंग, कैसे हैं सर?
क्लास
नमस्कार, क्या हो
जो
रहा है?
ठंडा पड़ेगी, जो ठंडा।
सब ठीक ठाक सब?
हाँ ठीक है। नमस्ते। Good morning to everybody. So today our topic is MMPH 004, block number 4. Today we have to discuss the block number 4, that is grievance, discipline, and conflict resolutions. So in this today's session, I try to cover up the unit number 13 and unit number 14. So unit number 13 is your grievance handling, and unit 14 is your discipline in organizations. So first unit number 13, that is grievance handling. That's we have to discuss about the interactions, then the reasons for the grievances, discovery of the grievances, and when is a complaint and not a complaint, not a grievance, that we have to see, and the classification of the grievances, why the dissatisfactions, complaint, and the causes of the grievances, and what are the industrial laws, and recently the Industrial Relations Code 2020. Then what are the resolutions that we have to see? What are the approaches, then formal mechanisms, and their advantage and disadvantage? That part is very much required. Advantages of a good grievance procedures, then your role of human resource department, what is the role in between? Then grievance redressals, linkages, then your managing pitfalls, what are the pitfalls there's, recommendations of the National Commission of the Labor. So all these things are pertaining to your unit number 13. So now first we have to see the define what is the grievances. Grievances can be defined as in discontent or the dissatisfaction that an employee has with an aspect of the organizations. It can be real or the imaginary, legitimate or the ridiculous, stated or unvoiced, sometimes written or oral. We must, however, find the expressions in some form or other. Discontent or the dissatisfaction, as we see, sometimes it may not be outcomes, maybe within the employees only. The grievance can be either silent, that's why it is silent, or expressed by the employee. So it may be written or unwritten forms. Now here is valid or legitimate or the untrue or the completely the baseless. Sometimes it has happened. The grievances are baseless. There is no solid reason behind it. So must have it sometimes to do with the employment and the relationships. Dissatisfaction can be termed as an grievances only if it is connected with the organizations, policies, and practices affecting the employees in their work situation. Is valid and the legitimate or the untrue of the complete baseless must have something to do with the employment relationships. So, if it is connected with the organizations, differently it is termed as grievances, and in terms of it is a policies and practices affecting the employees in their work situations. If the grievances are more, so definitely it will hamper it will affect in the productivity also. So in most of the cases, the grievances can be broadly and three types. Legitimate grievances, and this is a real grievance which there is a cause to believe that there has been some sort of contract violations. However, it has been observed that the clauses in a contract have different meaning for different people. So that is also see the policy makers of the organizations and what are the rules. And during the time of the contract agreement, it is defined. So an employee may be agreed to do so, to obey the things which as per the terms and conditions written. Then imagine grievances. As the name suggests, the employee believes that there has been a violation of some clause or the management has not applied the clauses in the right manner. The real cause of grievance can be something very trivial, but is given great importance by the employee. Mostly, it is due to some misunderstanding that such grievances occurs. It means sometimes real cause cannot be identified straightway. So sometimes maybe the miscommunications, misunderstanding, it has happened. So that's why it may complain as a complaint or as a dissatisfaction starts, and maybe in a written form they are given a grievances. So that we have to discuss in the classifications what the type of the grievances and how to deal with a type of grievances and degree of density. I mean, how the volume of the grievances levelize. You have to levelize the things. Maybe it may be sorted out by the discussion itself, or it may not be required to go further the things. Maybe some misunderstandings. It has happened. Then political grievances. These grievances are very difficult to solve because where the political environment is there. So as you know, it is very difficult. There are some rigidities there. Mostly these grievances are connected to the unions because most of the unions are biased with some of the parties, some of the political influences are theirs. So in that case, it is a challenge. At times, the union may keep harping about the grievances without merit, as to get a good standing with the members. So this will basically hamper the organization's activities. Now the reasons. Now we have to find out what are the reasons behind it, what are the reasons of the grievances. In a service industry, the manager cannot afford to assign a frontline job to the employee who holds a grievance against the organizations. So you have to imagine the result, what are the result is coming on. Supposing the hotel receptionist is an unsatisfied employee, and for a successful manager, it is essential not only to be aware about the employee's grievances, but also to understand why a grievances has occurred. So most of the cases, the manager cannot be understand easily why your subordinate is behaving in such a way or not working. So that case, the grievances are occurred, and that case you have to understand why the grievances has occurred. And your grievances may occur for a variety of reasons. It may be the economic conditions, wages, competition wage computations, maybe it is wrongly, some amalgamations are there, ambiguities, overtime calculations, or overtimes it may be because it is linked with the money. So employees may, chances of dissatisfaction are there. Bonus is another issue. Then commissions, or we can say the incentives, etc. Employees feel they are not justified because their money, whatever the money, it is not as per their work. So economic is one of the reason behind it. Then another part is because they less than get what they work in. Another thing is your work environment. Work environment is basically the poor working conditions. The grievance handling defective equipment, because what are the mechanisms are not correct, or whatever the data, inputs data are not correctly defined, or maybe there's some loopholes or some of the wrong information sometimes. So that's why the machineries and tools, materials, informations are one of the cause that is in part of your work environment. So because of the grievance, this prescription starts, and in turn, it can be become a grievance. Another reason is your supervision, disposition of the boss towards the employee, because some favorisms, nepotisms, biasing, so all are the conditions. Sometimes during the supervisions, some discriminations are there between the employees. So sometimes the employees are not happy enough. So that's why the supervision is one of the reasons. Work group, strained relations. Suppose within the group there are relations are not good, individually or as a group, some strained relations, or you can say the incompatibility with the peers. Sometimes he is not liking, or there is some communications gap is there, liking each others. So all this is that feelings of the neglect. Some maybe within the group, some employers' feelings which have been neglected by the others. So that type of things are sometimes frustration starts, and maybe some another issues are that victimizations. So this is one of the conditions of work group are not good enough. There are some, you can say some generate some of the grievances because of that things. Work organizations, because work organizations there the rigid and unfair rules, because the policy and rules are not good. Some unfair rules are there. Too much or too less work responsibility. Maybe the workload is too much high. The responsibility is given very high. So depression will start. I mean, the stress will create, and because of that, unhappiness, and finally the grievance. A lack of recognitions, because what we are doing, that type of rewards are not, recognitions are not there. That is also another issue for create the grievance. Apparent causes or the sources of the grievances may not always be the real ones. Sometimes apparently it may be saying, no, it's not a grievance. It's not a grievance. It's not likely. So it may always be a real one. Sometimes it may not be real also. Because individual feelings is different, perception is different. The way he is taking in insight is also different. Lack of knowledge, or so many reasons, are behavioral patterns is different. There is a need for deeper analysis. So that's why some analysis is required. Why he is behaving like this? Maybe it's a simple word, simple instructions. Maybe the language barriers are there. Interpretations of the language is also different. Maybe the instruction he has not understand clearly. So a lot of reasons are there. So analysis to be interaction with the policies, procedures, practices, structures, and personal dynamics in the organizations to arrive the real causes of the grievances. So during the analysis of the grievances, the things. So this is the angle, different angle you have to consider it, and the solution are to be needed. So which are the areas? Policies, then the procedures. Sometimes the procedure is not okay. The practices, what are the practices are there? It may require some modifications. Structure is also another issue. What are the structure? How many levels are there during the grievance process dealing? If it is so many levels are there, then it may be create a problem. Another thing is the issue is the delay. So things are to be delayed. Grievance stem from the management policies and the practices, particularly when they lack consistency. So lack of consistency, and uniformity, fair play, and the desired level of flexibility, where some flexibility is required. So that's why it's some rigidity. If it is some rigidity is there with the process, there is no chances of the modifications, then it is a problem. So flexibility is required sometimes, depending on situations. The grievances also may arise because of the intrapersonal problems. So here actually we are talking about, discussing about the reasons why the grievances occurred. So interpersonal problems, the individual employees is another issues, and union practices aim to reinforce and consolidating their bargaining strength. So this is another things, the bargaining strength. So we have to enforce things. So there are so many other issues are also there. The grievance is there. The absence of the proper two-way flow, communications. That's why I try to emphasize the things. So sometimes the miscommunications are happening because of the communication gaps. But there should be a two-way communications. Flow should be there both ways. You have to listen the things, you have to say something and listen things. Both the things is involved. It can be your fertile ground for the breeding of the grievances, because the grievances are breeding because of this. Grievances can have the several effects which are essentially adverse and counterproductive to organizational process. As what adverse effect are basically include the loss of interest in the work, because if the grievances are persisting or still it is persist, unsolved conditions, then what happens? So organizations, the loss of interest of the work, it will be continued. Consequent lack of moral and the commitment, it will affect. The worker are less interested to do the work. There is no commitment. Poor quality of work, because the quality will be deteriorated because his mind is occupied some of the other things. Negativity will come, depressions. And because of that, the increase of the wastage, and in turns it is a cost. That is another thing. And because of the situation when these things are, grievances are in a very adverse levels, so increase of the absenteeisms will be more, because people will start taking the leave, their lethargic laziness will come out. Then discovery of the grievances. Now, how to discover these grievances? And okay. Now, some of the important ways to discovering the grievances are briefly outlined. So, how to discover the grievances? That is a direct observations. So a good manager must know how his or her subordinates behave in the ordinary circumstances. So during the tea times or during the lunch times or maybe or general discussion time, you can closely observe what the way your subordinates are behaving. That is the right time to judge your things. So in the ordinary circumstances, what the way he is behaving. So that is the way you can observe. Is really frustrated or depressed or happiness is there or not, that you can calculate. I mean, the You can calculate the things. So when the significant changes in that behavior occurs, it is sure to affect the performance because if you feel there is some significant differences are there, so no doubt undoubtedly it will affect in the performance. And the dignity and the honesty will be less, and the absenteeism will be more, and lateness because he may come in late or may go early from the workflow. So, which discontent and dissatisfactions. Find the expressions, but from these expressions, you can see, you can, if you the body language or you can use the, from the expressions, you can understand that he is not happy. So a careful analysis of the grievance rates, then your accident rates is also there sometimes. The workers are, if it is not happy, there are chances of accidents is also there because his mind is occupied some other things. Attentions and the commitment will be less. So pattern that are not easily discernible in the first instance. Because easily in the first instance you may not be clear about it. So subsequently you have to observe maybe the second meeting or third meeting. Easily you can see the pattern of these behavior patterns and you can judge accordingly. Now coming to some of the procedures. What are the procedures of the grievance procedures? Most important challenge through which the discontent and the dissatisfactions can be communicated through the grievance procedure. So it should be channelized. I mean, how the procedures, what the way you can judge it. The grievance procedure provides an avenue and an opportunity to an employee to give vent. So sit together and allow the employees to say something, allow him to give some vent the things, what is happening with him to his or her the career. The dilemma most managers face in whether and how far they should encourage or discourage the grievances. So that is one of the challenge for the managers also. If the management does not induce the employees to express their grievances, union will do so. So if the first hand management has to do, they should induce the employees, okay, what happened? Why you are not doing so? Or what is your insight in the mind? Why you are so sad? So this type of talk you can individually, independently you can discuss and let vent of all these things. Discouraging employees from the expressing the grievances means ignoring the grievances. So if you discourage the employees, not hearing clearly, and everything you are in silent mode, then indirectly you are discouraging the employees. Means ignoring what are the grievances. That is negative side. So when they simmer and burst, management find it beyond their capacity to deal with them adequately. Suppose if things are inside in the mind, any employees, so one fine day definitely he or she will burst the things because the pressures, stress will be in such a way, then he cannot bear it. So that situation should not be. Before that, address the grievances as early as possible, so that situation is not advisable. That is important to have a grievance procedure to process grievances. So that's why it is important that situation should not be happen. Now, grip boxes. The grip box is a facility to file anonymous complaints about the various causes of the discontent and the dissatisfactions in the organizations. It is different from the suggestion scheme systems, and that may be in a work in a company. So in this case, anonymity is assured and there is no reward or punishment. So different philosophy, different mechanisms are there to identify the grievances. The limited purpose is to let the management know what the employees feel without fear of the victimization. So suggestions, schemes are very important where they can say something or write something, and then management can decide which are the relevant or true, and accordingly they have to take action. Open door policies. Open door policies is most organizations speech open door policy, but do not practice it. The policy is good and democratic, but usually ineffective, and at times counterproductive. Organizations would do well to have a grievance procedure. If a grievance procedure exists, open door policy becomes redundant. So this is another policies or two we can discover the grievances. Now, discover of the grievances. Exit interview. Another thing is your way, exit interview. Interview, employees usually quit the organizations due to dissatisfaction. You call them or over the phone you can discuss what happened, why you are resigned or leave the organizations, what happened. So from there also you can take some inputs and you can discover the same thing. It may be other employees may also are in that dilemma. Maybe that issues are theirs, still theirs. So we can easily identify. See, it requires certain skill to get to know the real reasons for leaving the jobs. So you have to communicate them. Those who are already leave the jobs, exit. So you can take this, you can share by the shares, they can understand why he has leaving the things. So sometimes the employees are not disclose the things, maybe due to some many reasons. So you have to explore the things, why he has resigned or leaving these organizations, so that it can help to analyze your present situations. Other channels is group meetings. As I said, the meeting is very important. Periodical interviews with the employees and collective bargaining sessions. They can sit together and collectively take the inputs basically. And some of other channels through which one can have information about the employee dissatisfactions. So many other channels is also there. You can try to find out why the people are unsatisfied. So each channel referred to above serves the purpose in a different way. So using more than one channel is desirable because genuinity, because it may not be possible to get information about all types of dissatisfaction from the one channel. Because through this one channel, you are suppose, for example, you are discussing with a particular one employee who is dissatisfied, direct face-to-face discussions, and some inputs you are getting. So during the discussion, that employee may or may not be highlighted some of the things. So better you can take a separate meeting with one of the colleagues of his that employees separately. Then you can ask what happened, your friend, what is your opinion or your idea, why you are sad, because you are closely working and together and you are a close friend. So that is the way another channel. You can also take some inputs from the. That's why the particular one channel may not be able to get all the information. So you have to take a separate channels. Now we have to discuss about some of the type of complaints. What type of complaints are there? The personal troubles and the request for the advice. You will often find that the people want to confine in you, the treat them sympathetically, try to help them, and keep confidences strictly to yourselves. Another is complain about the fellow workers. Suppose you're saying he is not behaving with me, and some abuse me or something, or wrongly saying some of the things. He is not giving a due respect. So anything. This need to lot of fact to tact. I think diplomacy and the moral authority on your part. Then complaints about the government agencies and the local bodies. So this is another type of complaints. Complaints against the management not covered by the contract. There may be cases you have to face which do not involve injustice, do not violate the past practices and all. Because it is an agreement or some type of agreement or contract what against the management and the employee. What type of contract are there? So there is also some of the, because it is not as per the contract or something. So against the management, you can complain the things. It is because as not as per the, it is not covered in the contract. You can say it because this type of, for example, 8 hours is written, and suppose 40 hours per week something is mentioned, and if but the employees feel that management is my superior, is always insisting me to do some extra work every day, and maybe half an hour extra time or something. So in total, maybe 50 hours you are working per month, per week. So that should not be, it is exceeding. So, and you are not getting any bonus or extra money, something. So that is not covered in the contract. So this is the way also the complaint can be lodged. Then your borderline cases, you should seek advice from the chief steward or grievance committee of your local business representative before taking these taking up the grievances. So this is another type of the report back to the persons complaining as soon as the possible, explaining what you doing and why. Then complaints against the union. That is also sometimes it has happened. Some of the employee, maybe he is also a member of the union, but still he is complaining against the unions. So it is up to you to explain the complainer what is his right or under the rules of the constitutions of the local and international unions. Then the classifications. Now, what are the classification of the grievances? Grievances may fall different classifications. Broadly, you see the wages, incentives, work assignments, complaints, job like this. Interpersonal, interpreparations of the rules, transfer, seniority, promotions, these all are the classified. The complaint are basically the grouping. Now, what you classify the things. Maybe it is this complaints are wage related matters. These complaints are the seniority or promotion purposes. So this is the way you have to segregate the things. Working conditions are not good. Maybe I'm not feeling good. Maybe the AC is not there, or maybe the sitting arrangement is not. They may be complain. That's right. This is another type of the classified. Supervision, discipline, and the violation of the terms and the collective agreement. So this is the way you have to classify the grievances. Now, according to figures and the mayors, the three terms, that the dissatisfaction, complaint, and the grievances. These are all the first things. Your dissatisfaction starts, and because of the dissatisfaction, you have to go for the complaint, and finally it is a grievance. So it indicates the various forms of the stages of the employee's dissatisfaction. So there are some stages of this. First, initially, the stress build up and dissatisfaction starts. Then your complaint, your mind is now I have to complain. I'm not happy enough. So then finally, in written form, the grievances mean the final stages. Mean you are in a written form where you are vented the things. So dissatisfaction is anything that disturbs an employee, whether or not it expresses his unrest in the words. So in the words, you have to return the things. The grievance is more formal in character than a complaint, and it can be either oral or written. A grievance is always a writing, because always it should be in a writing. Causes of the grievances. Now, what are the causes? Concerning wages, because as I said that maybe the previous slides already I have given what are the same thing. It is now in other way. It is questions are like this: the causes, wages, then supervisions, work conditions, bargaining, then management policies. These all are the listed the grievances, the reasons. Now this is the grievance redressal procedures. Here you see first thing the step one. The step one here actually this is the step one by the frontline supervisors. They have to see the maybe it may be the problems. What are the problems there? That can be union representative can handle the things, and so this level are basically your first levels. The step one. Front level supervisors were directly interact with the workers, which are maybe by the discussion with by the unions representative, you can solve and whatever the things. Step two is a middle management, where the middle management, so at the level of the middle level of unions leaders. So you see that automatically the levels has changed. So then you can also discuss and try to redress the things. Top level management grievances. So there again, it is a top union leaders. They can also see what the problems are there. So finally, if the things are not solved because in this area, first steps, then it will go to middle management. Suppose here, still some of the grievances are not addressed properly, some problem is there, then they go for the middle management, where the things are to be sorted out, and by the help, by the discussion with the middleman union leaders. So it is all are levelize the things and procedure also. Because middle management, they cannot discuss with the union representatives. They have to discuss with the middle level union levels. So everywhere the level are already classified. So finally, after that, if the things are still persist, some problem are not addressed properly as not satisfied 100%, in that case again it will go to the top management. So top management finally, and again, and things are finally, if still the employee or the union are not happy enough, then it can go for the arbitration, subject to lot of things. Now, Industrial Dispute Act 1947, it has written. Some of the act written is theirs. There shall be a grievance settlement authority, and there are some industrial organizations that employs 50 or more workers. Then the Industrial Dispute Act 1947 has to follow. Factory Act is also 1948. There are a lot of things are given. The rules are given. The model grievances procedures, the National Commissions for the Labor has suggested a model grievance procedures which would ensure a speedy settlement of the grievances. So there it is required some so that we can speed up the things. Then some of the model is given, Your first things, as I said earlier, I've shown all these things. Aggressive employee, then departmental representatives, then head of the department, grievances committee, chief executive, then voluntary arbitrations, settlement of the grievances. This all are modeling are there. And there are also time also fixed there. Is a 48 days and 3 days and 7 days. So every days are also specified here. How many days it should take? It should not be more than that. Settlement of the grievances are certain dates are specified. Industrial relations code is the 220 there. It is written there. And the March 2020 purposes are following. Procedures are there. Every industrial establishment employ 20 or more workers shall have one more grievances redressal committees. They should have a committee for resolutions or any or dispute of the rights. Grievance redressal committee shall consist equal number of the member representing the employer and the employees, or equal numbers, same number should be there. Then chairpersons of the grievance redressal committee shall be selected for among the persons representing the employee and the worker. So there are so many written, it is there, Industrial Relations Code 2020. Everything are defined. Then there are some 10 redressal committee as not exceeding the 10 is mentioned there, how many should be there. Then your applications, dispute respect subsections are there. It may be filled before the grievances redressal committee by an aggrieved workers. And then grievance redressal committee may complete its procedure within the 30 days, is already mentioned 30 days, or is receipt of the application under the subsection 5. So all this section are something, you can get it from Industrial Relation Code 220. You can download and you can go through this if you are really want to know more about it. Then other so many things, decisions here, everything are how to, what are the subsection maintained, subsection is written there, and committee regarding the committees, how many days should be there, and what are the responsibilities, everything is given. Then resolution approaches. Here the organizations should have a grievance mechanisms at all. Then your multi-level and then unilateral practices are there. These all are some of the resolution approaches. Then ideal grievance procedures should rest on the following principles. The prompt should be very prompt, well-defined should be there, and time-bound, so that grievance can be sorted out very fast. Fast track it can be do. Then it should encourage the employees, and your should be facilitate the settlement at the lowest level of the leader, so that it should not go further, and the lowest level officers can deal it. It should be in conformity with the existing legislations. It should be permit active involvement of the union. It should gain the confidence of the employee at large. It should promote the healthy industrial relations climate. So these all are good grievance procedures, as I think. Advantage. What are the advantage will be there? The well-planned and administered the grievances procedures. Following advantage. It offers the opportunity to the employee to process the grievances, satisfy the employee need and self-expressions, improve the management skills, and help the management to locate the problem areas. So union and management relations are union demand. So general level of the employees' moral and their attitudes towards the management and the kind of problems they face in the worker things are improved. So it enables the management to understand the problems of the workforce and the grievance and workplace, and it helps initiating the timely correcting the and in turn ultimately result productivity will be increased. Then here actually what is the role of human resource department? They should devise the sound grievance procedure because the procedure should be good. Then they advise the line managers about the importance of the sound grievance handling systems and to train the supervisory personnel to interviewing and counseling skills. So it's a responsibility of the HR to develop all these things. So there are so many other things, implement promptly, maintain the records, and to review the procedures, to follow the individual cases, these all are also part of your HR. Then grievance handling, what are the pitfalls, the problems? Then it is should be avoided. Vagueness should be avoided. Careful, attentive listening. Facts should be separated from the opinions, impressions. So management representative should be aware that the decision taken on a simple grievances of an individual employees. So this is the things are for you handling. What are the problems and what are the how to handle it? Consistent policy, and then another thing, it should be ensured that as far as practicable and decisions taken as the lowest level of the grievance levels. So these are almost some of the things are repeating, meaning the lowest level is able to deal all these things. So that means frontline supervisors can sort out the things in their end itself, so that it should not go further to the other levels. Objectives of the grievance procedure is to resolve the disagreement between the employee and employer organizations. Follow-up is necessary to determine whether the grievances so that it can be resolved satisfactorily. Then your discipline is another issue. Discipline refers to the condition in the organizations wherein the employee conduct themselves in the accordance with the organizations, rules and standards of the acceptable behavior. Because discipline is another thing where attitudes, because towards the company, and you have to perform the work within some of the laws, some of the norms are there. Objectives. Disciplinary issues arise when there is a non-conformity to formal and informal rules and regulations of the organization, because some of the employees are following all the procedures and something, and some people are not. So everybody should be in the same platform. So here the disciplinary issues basically to things should be in a positive way. I mean, everything are in a smooth operations purposes. There are various forms of indiscipline such as absenteeisms, insubordinations, violations of the rules, gambling, then incompetence, damage of the machinery, property, dishonesty. So all these things are your part of your indiscipline part of this. So there should be some punishment is also given, and some suspension, some things are there. Disciplinary actions. So that's it. To institute this kind of positive discipline among the subordinates and the manager must ensure that the rules and the regulations are reasonable, legitimate, and clear. Subordinates are involved in the framing the rules and the regulations. The empire and the clear notice is given to the consequences or breaking the rules. So you have to issue the notice. So there is the consistency and the uniformity of the punishment. Another thing is some punishment is also should be there. So human personality is treated with the dignity. So that thing should be continue, and sustainability, I think, sustain the things. He or she as a manager should set high standards. The disciplinary actions are the preventive discipline, corrective discipline, the red hot stove rules, progressive discipline. There's so many things are there to action, discipline actions, so that people can think. As here, I can say some of the red hot is, when you touch the in the burned fingers, then you will shock, you will feel some of the red things. So you have to give some precautions. No, it is a hot. So private things you have to discipline yourself. If you put these fingers, then definitely you will be it is the disciplines. If you continuously you are burned, you are fingering your burned conditions, then that means you are habituated things. That should not be advisable. Then the things are there, the charge sheets. Another thing, disciplinary action, there are charge sheets are there. Other things. The charge sheet means a written statement, certain allegations upon the offenders to communicate them. You are not lawfully breaking the law, or you are not following the procedures. So some code of conduct to be there. To establish the things, the charge sheets. Domestic inquiry, then they are awarding the punishment by the disciplinary authority, so-called notice, all the things are there. Then another is suspensions. Suspension means the prohibiting and the employee from performing the duties assigned to him or her, withholding the wages, or so long as the prohibition continues. So suspend sometimes maybe 15 days, maybe 1 month you are suspended. Still your cases are unsolved until the things are reviewed, conditions. Dismissal and the discharge is another things. Finally, what are this is the outcome of all these things. Retrenchment and the layoff, we finally have to give some compensation, 1 month notice or 2 month notice, or 3 month, and the salary you have to give 2 month, 3 month salaries you have to give it, and it should be justified. Within the small companies, the owners can take the decisions, but if it is a big company, then again government approval permissions are required before the retrenchment or layoff. You have to take the permissions. So this is the type of your disciplinary action, the charge sheet. There's a sample of the charge sheets, date you have to give in, then name of the things. Here you have to mention this: we have received a report against you, and that on the date such and such, that you were involved in the misconduct and something, your act. You have to mention that you have done so many things, and finally against you. Accordingly, you have to proper explanations to give within a time frame. You have to give some report why you have done like this way. So this is the format of your charge sheet formations, and authorized signatory has to sign it, giving it some time. Time means it may be 15 days, it may be 1 month. It is depending on the agreement of the company or procedures. How many days you have to give for a chance to explain the things. So this type of this is the charge sheet format. Then grievance handling, some of the, now I have to discuss some of the questions, what type of questions are coming. That you have to discuss the steps involved in the handling the employees' grievances. This type of questions are coming. Then your write short notes on advantage of the formal mechanisms of the grievance dismissals. Then define the discuss the grievance. What are the grievance that you have to discuss? Then briefly discuss the approaches. What type of approaches are there, and their solutions. Short note on the grievance procedure, and then write a short notes on the grievance redressal mechanisms are there. So this type of questions are basically the unit number 13. Grievance handlings are there. So this is 5 questions are enough where we covered most of the things for particular unit. So these questions may twist a little bit, or maybe in another form, but most of the things will be same. So it is all the 5 questions are sufficient. If you go through all the 5 questions from unit 3 to 13, and that is sufficient, I think so. And then another part, your question number, unit number 14, where the disciplinary discipline in the organizations, there are the 6 questions I have selected. The type of questions that the write a short notes on the individual industrial discipline or organizational discipline. Then you define the discipline, explain the process of the disciplining actions and its advantage and disadvantage, as I said. Then write short notes on the discipline, your nature and the causes. Then write short notes on the red hot stove rules. Then you write short notes on the classification of the misconducts, how to classify the things. Then write notes on the acts of the misconduct. So all these things are things there. So then I can see some of the things apart from these, from the type of questions, as I said. There is suppose for handling involve these questions. Question number 1: how to proceed the things. So first things, you have to identify what are the steps are there. Then means the nature of dissatisfactions you have to receive and define the nature of dissatisfactions. That's what the manner and the attitudes, the things. Then your assessment must be made. The complaints, type of complaints you have to see. The statement and the issues must be prejudiced. Then proper time and the attention is given. Then facts be separated from the impressions. What are the facts that also you have to think? Then consult the records. What are the concerns record that you have to solve? And actually, I'm talking about the handling the things. So this is the analyze. Then after that, you have to analyze and take some decisions, decisive decisions. Apply the answer. This is the way. Then follow up finally. So this is the some of the involves of this, and some of the things are during the handling the things you have to do it. That is investigate and handle each case carefully. Then talk to employees and visit the work area and the place before you have to why it has happened. Determine the witness and things. Examine the records. Then you examine the witness. Evaluate the grievances. Permit full hearing. Then identify the relief and the employees in exceeding. Command the respect all. Then you keep your supervisors information and state all these things. So this is the way you have to write the thing answers out like this. So I think now today I have covered the grievance handling and your things and grievances. And next session we will discuss about the unit number 15. So okay, I think now thank you very much.